Multiple scene changes, but we're back.
We're back.
Ooh, oh, that's a good idea. Did you see what Krakovagen said? A coffee charcuterie cup. That's a nice idea. So, to answer your question, I have brought. Here's our Spirit Mountain coffee. Let me see if it'll focus in on that. It's like there's so many things to look at. So this is the Spirit Blend from Spirit Mountain. It smells wonderful. Go ahead and take a whiff of that. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I have a cup of coffee with me, but I'm smelling these. I normally put this together late at night for the next morning, and then I just want a cup of coffee at midnight. So the other one is these people. I mean, where are we at? There it is. Oh, look at that product placement. Vermont Maple Bourbon. It's a 8 o'clock coffee company. So we use...
That's delicious.
Yep, a third of each of those and then a third of espresso blend. And what we're looking for is a nice balance between an espresso roast and a medium roast, and sometimes a flavored roast or a light roast. So...
Yeah, and we recently got a new coffee maker. What is it called? Ratio?
I don't know. I'd never seen anything fancy like that. It's a space age coffee machine.
So, you guys that know me know that I like my kitchen things. It's about the only thing I splurge on. And so, I bought us a coffee maker that was maybe a little pricey. But if it's in my kitchen, it's going to be the best. It's the only thing I splurge on.
And it's interesting too because you say you splurged on it. Hey, let's see, Sands of the Ages. Nice, welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
It's interesting because normally our coffee machines will last. You go buy a particular brand from a store nearby, the common brands, and $20-$30. I don't remember, but they'll last us about a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years if we're lucky. But the coffee machines give out before we are no longer interested in the coffee. So you having spent a little bit extra to get a machine that might last a while is good, because Chipco Preserve is focused on trying to eliminate unnecessary waste, reutilize things,
sustainability.
Sustainability, yeah. Getting rid of plastics as best as possible, and trying to convince people to convert to bioplastics. It's still plastic, but the idea is that it's natural in many ways and will biodegrade. Yeah. So we were taking ideas from the chat on what we could talk about this hour, and it's the state of Chipco affairs.
It is. So, I mean, when we're thinking about that, if you go to a thrift store, one of the things you see all the time are coffee carafes, but no coffee machines, because it's the coffee machine that's broken and the coffee carafe that's still left. So, part of buying products that we're hoping will last longer is to keep something out of the landfill. When we're thinking about that, we're also trying to adopt a more indigenous point of view that reckons on human beings being a part of a system as opposed to at the top of a system, because what we've seen is that hasn't worked for us. We're killing our planet, and as we see from the heat that's swept through everywhere this summer, I mean, it's pretty bad. So, I'm going to get worse for our grandchildren, especially. And so we've really at Chipco tried to think of a different way to live, a way that's more in harmony, a little bit more balance. And that's what we do every day. So
yeah, that's the crux of what we do. True.
So one of the things we can do is grow as much of our own food as possible, and patron farmers and growers who live around us. So we just got 3 pounds of figs from a neighbor, and we made sort of a spicy fig spread
That is yummy.
2 nights ago.
Yeah, they had a neat little farm over there.
Hmm. So that turned out pretty well, and
And can I say this though? It's fantastic to look at your local producers, your small farms, your local producers, because you're eliminating the carbon footprint of, let's say, buying some figs in the grocery store that were picked green, traveled across the country, ripened in the store, so they're not going to be as good. And of course, you've got all that carbon footprint that relates to that product. So if you can find them locally, I think you're better off. The planet's better off.
There's also an idea, and it's getting a foothold in the United States with a few, mostly James Beard awarded chefs. Sean Sherman is one of them up in Minnesota. Hugh Aitchison, who has restaurants that started in Athens, Georgia, and I'm really happy to say in October I'm going to be going with my daughter-in-law there to enjoy the foods. But they have, it's a French idea. The word comes from, basically means earth, but terroir, and it's earth, but it's your earth. And so the idea is you eat locally, and everything that grows in that dirt, right, under that sun with that rain, has a certain base element of taste that means it all kind of goes together. You know, so whatever you're not bringing in something totally different and adding it there, and you're trying to make it work, which can be very eclectic and delicious, but we have gotten so far from growing our own food that we've forgotten how good food can taste in concert with other foods, right, that are grown in the same area. And so it's the flavor of your place. So if you want something that tastes like where you're from, it smells like where you're from, it has the textures, everything, it's coming ripe at specific times, that's the terroir, and that's what we really want. We're going to be harvesting our beauty berries soon.
Yeah, next month.
Yeah, and that'll go on. I've actually had to cut out, I'll probably spend 3 hours at a time, but probably 4 times a week harvesting. And they're in the woods, and we've got at least 150 plants, and they can be very large, and sometimes they're in very hard to reach places. So it's a difficult harvest, but in some cases. But I'll spend probably a good 8 weeks, probably about 12 hours a week, just harvesting.
Harvesting, processing, turning into delicious beauty berry jelly.
I don't even know how much that time will be the processing of it, but